Same old story.
He saw the topless picture of you and he wanted to be part of it.
It's not my fault.
Susie stitched you up there, didn't she?
That was her idea. I'm not sure I'm meeting the target audience.
But tell us about McLaren and your chances of perhaps usurping them this afternoon.
Looks like similar to Bahrain FP3 when it was very hot. They are just in a league of their own. Really amazing to see how good of a job they are doing. Amazing for them, less good for us. But we were solid, best of the rest this session. And we hope that it's going to come towards us, more towards us in terms of McLaren in qualifying in the evening.
You think McLaren were probably running a little bit more power there than you were?
No, I think we see that on the overlays. Everybody ran pretty much flat out. I don't think that was the major difference. Is that they are just having the tyres in a sweet spot when it's warm.
It also looks like they're able to improve maybe a little bit more than others on that second push lap. How important do you think that's going to be? And then also looking at the race pace didn't look too bad for you guys yesterday. Is that something you think you can be stronger with?
Yeah, against McLaren it's difficult because they were able to go fast on the second and third lap, which we haven't even tried. And on the long run, yesterday we saw the race sim that they were. He looks like from a cartoon movie, like he's walking through there. They were very fast. It was Norris once, and the other time around it was Piastri. And like today, they were just very quick.
In this day of an age of relentless racing, cost cap, the 2026 changes imminent, is it possible to close the gap these days? Because everybody improves a bit.
I think yes. Maybe not when it's perfect conditions for them, when it's that hot. But otherwise, things can swing. And I don't think if you take the average of all tracks throughout the year, you've seen Las Vegas last year when it was freezing, we were as dominant as McLaren is. So over an average, we're talking about a few tenths, no more. And I think, yes, you can catch.
Let's talk a bit more about your drivers, because it feels as if George particularly is really enjoying a purple patch in terms of his form and his energy that he's bringing to the team. His best start to a season actually in his whole career. How have you viewed things?
He's doing a top job. I think it was always he was a little bit always I wouldn't say underrated, because he's such a stoic person that people talked about Lewis or talked about Max, and now you can see how he's delivering. I think he's performing in that car to the maximum, and he's doing really great.
The mark of the great champions like Senna and Michael Schumacher, we sit with Max, Fernando would be another example, and Lewis, of course, to be able to drive around problems and carry good speed. And that was an extraordinary performance of his in Bahrain, wasn't it? To manage the brakes, to have the steering wheel missing and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, because if you have a brake-by-wire failure, you have a pedal that goes strong, that goes spongy, that goes strong, that gets hard and spongy. And it changed all the time, and he had to reset his steering wheel accordingly. And that means there's so much cognitive power behind, and he's getting better and better and better, and that's certainly his strength.
And on Kimi, it looks like you're being very patient with him, allowing him to grow and develop in his own time a little bit. That said, he honestly always looks so on the limit. How are you managing him? And obviously he's very young and everything that's thrown at him this year.
I think it's important to tackle it actively and say that he's learning. You can see in the overlays today in the girlfriend in FP3 that it's the high speed, and I don't want him to take any risks in high speed in FP3 because it makes no sense. So we'd rather have him doing in qualifying, and it's a trajectory. George's level is very high. This is Formula One, and I always say to him, through karting and your junior formulas, you have never been exposed to such a field of the best drivers in the world, and they have been here for a long time. So it would have been weird him coming in, being on George's pace, because that would have meant George is not maybe on the max level or so, and George is, and therefore this is why it takes time.
Have you got another Lewis Hamilton on your hands with Kimi? Is he good enough? Is he that good?
I think they're also different, and I've been with Lewis for a long time. Kimi as a character is his own character in a way. He's been so successful in the junior formulas and in go-karting, probably the best track record of any of those drivers. And he He's hard enough in the car, but he's also a person that is bringing the team with him. And so super interesting to manage a driver that again is very different to what Lewis was, or George is, or Max.
Tell us about Valtteri's role in the team, because actually Jamie and I were chatting yesterday. We feel like there's really good energy about Mercedes at the moment, and that's actually being helped by Valtteri's presence. It feels as if he's really supporting Kimi in his growth as well.
Yeah, we're really having fun, to be honest. And it isn't the case because Lewis is gone. We had lovely moments and a lot of fun with Lewis too. But with the new energy, with an 18-year-old in the car, there's almost like an easiness that we have. And then George, brings in the lap times. And Valtteri is a contributor, clearly. Especially on those smooth tarmacs, he was a superstar back at Mercedes. And he's coaching him. Kimi's listening. Sometimes Formula One drivers don't think they can learn from others. And Kimi is open-minded. They talk about how to handle the tires, how to bring them in. And Valtteri seems to enjoy himself whilst, of course, seeking another race seat opportunity. But we love him. He's doing the same work. He's putting in the hours. He's developing next year's car. So it's strong.
Max Verstappen slipped through your fingers as a junior driver. If he was on the market again, you wouldn't miss him a second time, would you?
No, I wouldn't say that. I always say I don't flirt outside if I'm happy in the relationship, and in a professional way. If not, I get a really hard time from Susie. There's no question about that. Anyway, privately, but on a professional level, I'm super happy with the lineup we have. I couldn't wish for anything better. And Max is at Red Bull. We haven't had a conversation. We're continuing our trajectory.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is that the right expression? What I mean is that because there is such a good energy in the team and such a good dynamic, why would you want to unsettle that? It's working, isn't it?
It's working. It's working. I mean, we're not winning, so you can say, is it really working? We're all cheery, and we have the occasional, pole position or podium or win. It's not what we aim for. We would like to win championships, but we don't feel a sense of entitlement. We are doing much better than the last years. And that's a good feeling in the team, but not yet where we want to be.
Well, we'll let you go now. Thank you very much for your time and all the very best this afternoon. Not long